Shenanigans continues. Brad Katona was on last segment. This segment is our weekly correspondent. Going to talk about only up through last night because I believe he gets into his fight next week. And let's welcome Jason Knight. Jason, how are you?
Doing good, man. How's it going today?
Everything's going here great. We appreciate your time as always. Give us your thoughts, your take on last night's episode. Anything surprise you? Anything happened that you were not aware of?
I was pretty much aware of everything. I didn't get to watch the fight until last night. I recall Teamer coming in the back and thinking that he won that fight, and then finally getting to watch it myself. Man, I don't really understand the decision. I feel like Teamer was robbed. I had it 3 rounds to none for Teamer. Possibly Brad squeaked one out, but there's no way that Brad should have got that victory.
Does that concern you? Did that concern you? And again, we're only talking up through what we saw last night, but knowing that your fight is coming up soon, did that concern you when any of that happened? Were you aware of that before you went out? Or I'm not asking when you went out.
Teamer came in the back and saying that he thought he won, but I didn't get to see the fight. A lot of the times when it's a close fight like that, you think in your head that you got robbed, whether you got robbed or not. And I wasn't able to watch it, so I wasn't able to say for sure my thoughts on the situation. So I wasn't able to really worry about it. And at that time, I had a way bigger task, coming up
Sure.
in a few minutes with Kurt Hollowball, so I couldn't really stress too much about all of that.
I got.
Now, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But yeah, now going back and actually being able to watch that fight, man, I feel bad for Teamer because that's a crappy call from the judges. And at the end of the day, he shouldn't have let it go that far. If he should have somehow finished Brad, so that's kind of on him as well because we know that the judges make mistakes, but I think they definitely got this one wrong.
Give me your opinion, and I'm going to tell you just like I told Brad a minute ago. We talked about the switching teams and, who was, who wasn't. Obviously everybody knows how vocal you were, and I supported that and support that, as well as I supported what Brad did. I'm curious what your thoughts are when Brad did go over to the other side and change colors and name.
Oh, man, I don't blame Brad one bit. If my coaches from home were on that other team, and I wound up getting picked for the opposing team, I would have been pissed from the start. I would have wanted to switch teams right away, just the same as Brad. And no one can blame him for that. His head coach was just run across the room, and it wasn't that hard to go over there and be on that team. So, nobody can blame Brad for that. I didn't have any kind of animosity or anything like that towards Brad. I was actually more or less happy for the guy, that he finally got to go and be with his coach, and kind of happy for our team as well because that was kind of the only downfall of our team was having Brad there, not even really half-heartedly. He never wanted to be part of the team. He was there for Brad and only Brad, and I get that. That's what we all signed up for, was to be there for ourselves and only for ourselves. But it grew into something bigger than that. We grew into a team, we grew into a family, and Brad just never was part of that family.
I've tried to be vocal to the fans, and I said this to Brad after he won, his first fight. If anybody should be upset, it should be Brad in the fact that his coaches didn't pick the team that, their fighter was on. So Brad going over there made sense. I was more kind of, how does Conor not pick, the veterans in that case because it's one of their guys? So I'm with you, and I don't understand why fans are all upset. They can be upset about other things that we've seen on the episode, but the fact that he went back to his coaches just made all the sense in the world.
Yeah, I think honestly the reason that they picked the 155 up-and-comers was because Lee had never been in that type of situation before. He had never been on the big show, and, he needed more guidance, more help in that type of situation than Brad did. This was, all so familiar to Brad.
Right.
So it wasn't, and I guess from a coaching standpoint, it wasn't that big of a deal for Brad to be on the other team. It was a lot bigger deal to be able to get Lee on that team,
Makes sense. Totally makes sense. Normally I start with, and I blasted right past it, where are we, up through last night's episode, where are we in filming? How long have you been in the house? What day are we in?
We are on the very last day. The semifinal fights are happening. They all happen the same night. Brad and Teamer just fought, and I'm in the back warming up, getting ready to go out and fight against Kurt Hollaball next. And, after that, they kick our asses out.
So were you on a plane that night, or were you still in Vegas for a little while?
I was on a plane at 7 o'clock the next morning.
That's awesome. Like I would do and like I would expect from you. Jason, as always, sir, thank you very much for your time. I'm looking forward to next week. We're going to change it to Thursday next week. I hope that's okay. I'll text you later and work out the details, as a media day with the UFC is changed, so we're going to incorporate all that next week, if you're good with it. Throw out again, like we try to do, thank the company that you work for that's allowing you the time to get away and get on the phone.
Yes, next Thursday would be great for me. That'll be perfectly fine. And I'm working for International Welding and Fabrication. These guys have been absolutely great to me. My boss has no problem whatsoever with me getting on my weekly interviews, as they understand this is my job, and the phone call, the weekly correspondence, that is part of my career, and they completely understand that.
Awesome. Jason, have a great week. We'll talk to you next week.
Yes, sir. You have a good one. Thank you.
You as well. Jason Knight, our weekly correspondent. Big week for him next week, 2 first 3. Looking forward to it. Hoping, and when I say I don't know, this will prove to you that I don't know. My plane is not booked yet.
Okay.
If I knew,
You would already have a book.
I would already have it
Yeah,
booked.
because you plan